you're worth $50 million.
I'm not worth $50 million.
30 to 50.
Get off the fucking internet, son. Don't stop believing that stuff. $50 million?
Go back to cable news.
Sorry.
No, but I'm just, look.
Okay, you're too annoying. So I like the last chick who like disagreed with me, and then we could have like a normal conversation.
You know, for a guy who has made a career of just asking questions, he sure does seem a little ticked off about somebody just asking him a question, don't he? I mean, be honest with y'all, as much as there is to unpack in that clip, and we will. Oh, believe me, we will, because I got time today. Charlie spent his entire life answering questions, most of which were bad faith, most of which were argumentative in nature. And not one time do you find a clip where Charlie popped off cussing the dude out, or chick, or whoever he's dealing with, or somewhere in between. You know, these individuals he was dealing with were confused, right? Not once do you find him in a place where he was cussing somebody out, blushing, and essentially calling for that person to be called away from the mic because he didn't like the question. Instead, he probably would have said something like this. You know, like some of us who are being accused of being paid $7,000 every time we mention Israel in a positive light. I'm still waiting for like $750 million to come in my way. I have not gotten $1 yet, BB. I need answers. We get blamed every single day of being paid $7,000 for every post. And you know what we do? We make merch of it now. You know what I mean? I don't know if anybody has yet, but get yourself the merch ASAP. What do we do about it? We brush it off because it's nonsense. Or sometimes we go, no, I'm not. And then you guys, continue to argue, whatever it is. Now, if somebody asks me, hey, you've made $50 million from your propaganda. What I could say is, no, I haven't. That's a lie. Go look it up. But the reason why Qatarlson can't do that is because he is actually a very angry person. I know you didn't see that coming right there, but today we're going to be getting into something that y'all may not have perceived from my breakdown here, but it is the true colors of Qatarlson. This man I have diagnosed to be a people pleaser on the surface. You know, the old covert narcissist. Right? The individual who wants to be perceived as good, as righteous, as nice. However, he is a very bitter, resentful individual with a lot of anger and animosity. And it even explains a lot of the tirades of laughter and things of that nature. Now, all of this is allegedly. I am not a psychiatrist. I cannot diagnose the man, but this is observation, right? The quick flipping from, right? He's always needing to water down. He's made a habit of pretending and putting on this facade. And now he is being exposed because, see, when you don't have somebody that you, like a space curated, it's not just you talking directly to the camera. And even this is, it's very revealing. Things will come out here naturally. And we're going to get into scripture just to back all of that up in this entire point. But this is not sitting across from somebody who is picked by your team or picked by you that is going to agree with every single thing that you say. As a matter of fact, you got them onto your station or your network for that reason. These are college kids who frankly don't care about much besides either getting to the truth or getting some clout. Those kids are going to test you. And that's why Charlie was different and y'all will never be like him. Sorry. Not sorry. So let us go ahead and continue in this little clip. And again, I got time today. I really want to get into the nitty gritty of what's going on here.
All right. But you're like telling me you're worth $50 million. What? Stop.
Okay, you got real defensive there. I just threw out a number that's like a lot of money. Jesus Christ, calm down.
Don't use that phrase.
You're worth.
We're done.
Now, I would have commended him for that moment, someone like based, because, here he is using the Lord's name in vain. But I think Tucker does something far worse as far as using God's name in vain. He calls himself a Christian while being anything other than that. Calls himself a Christian while celebrating jihad. Calls himself a Christian while living as a liar. I think that is truly blaspheming God's name. I am of God, and then being anything other than that. So, yeah, that kid right there, that was offbeat. That was, according to my own worldview, no, you're not just about to use Christ's name. However, turns out that moment right there wasn't actually about that kid using the Lord's name in vain. What that was about was, I was already kicking you off the stage because you asked me an uncomfortable question. Now, this is the sort of thing that makes me go, you know what I mean? I asked myself the question, what is Tucker-Carlson's net worth? So I'm going to go ahead and bring this up, because when you have that much defensiveness about something, I am automatically going to assume this. This is just me. Maybe this is saying Christ-like, this is wrong, but I am automatically assume that you're so defensive because maybe there's just something about it, actually. Maybe there's something. I'm not saying always, right? Sometimes it's because you've been lied on and, you're angry and you're feeling all types of way. But in this case, let's go ahead and check. So estimated net worth. Now, that kid said $50 million, and that was enough to get him kicked off a stage. Here it looks like, and this is just AI, but we're going to get a little deeper, estimated 150 million sources, his media career, including time at Fox News and his ownership stake in Daily Caller until 2020. So network is estimated 150 million, though this can vary based on different sources. So again, net worth is not liquid cash, but it still is assets. So it's how much essential money you would be worth if you sold everything that you own of value. So here we have Tucker at 50 million, celebrity net worth watcher, networth.com. Let's see. Well, I don't know what Times India would have on him, but who is Tucker? Do they have net worth here? Luxury assets. So some are saying what? Holdings, this is all assets worth 65 mil. Cool. And again, there's nothing wrong with this. That's the funny part about it. It's revealing to say, why are you offended about being worth 50 million? I mean, we're simply asking questions. It's interesting that when you ask questions, they can't stand it. Yeah, especially when you ask them questions, that have to do with, the who's. But then we ask a question. We say, well, what's going on over here, buddy? How much are you worth? Are you worth 50? Maybe. Cool. Maybe we'll celebrate you and say, good job. You've made a heck of a career for yourself. So let's see. Okay. Tucker Carlson's laugh. That's funny. Tucker Carlson's salary. Let's see. Do we have any inside? Fox is paying 20 million. That's from X. How rich are 8 million per year. Can we? Let's see. I know the highest paid is Hannity. They're paying like 40 mil a year. Good for you, Hannity. Tucker Carlson battle to trade is $20 million. So, okay. $20 million a year is nothing to wink at. If his last year he was making 20, let's say, yeah, he could very easily have made 50 million. Now, again, I know that's not the point of all of this, but it is interesting that something that seems to be a fact is something that he was offended off of. Now, this is not the first time that he has been, sort of embarrassed because of a lie. As a matter of fact, this was one of the real haymakers that got me to a place where I was like, oh, this guy may be a real life bad faith actor. This guy may actually just be a genuine liar. So we're going to go ahead and play this out.
And so when I applied to CIA, and I've taken a lot of crap, including from Putin, like, oh, you're from a CIA family. Well, yeah, obviously my father worked in conjunction with CIA. I mean, that's what that is. And I tried to join the CIA, but I'm not being false about it.
Native talent. And he's attacking my dad.
So that was in 2024 on Sean Ryan's podcast. This one right here is 2025 on his own podcast. 2024, he's talking CIA talk. 2025, let's get into it.
As a CIA, his dad's in the CIA or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's no, untrue. Then my father dies, and I learn, actually, yeah, was involved in that world. I was completely shocked by it. So
right there,
no one has to believe.
His pops passed away. What year? What year did his pops pass away? Y'all see that? In 2025. So he only found out that his father was CIA after his pops passed away, according to him in this interview that he did with Candace. On Sean Ryan's show, he mentions CIA roots a year before his father passes away. That, folks, is what we call a lie of omission.
But that's just a fact.
Right.
Yeah. So, why does this matter? And trust me, I got another clip from that little TED Talk situation that he had going on, that little TPUSA event. But the reason I'm bringing this up is actually because I came across a post on X, and it read as follows. I want to be accurate on this one. I am almost certain that I bookmarked it, so why not just bring the actual thing up? Okay, what is this? Or did I? Did I not? Is this it? Well, guess it's not there. Oh well. Best of my ability. This individual stated how Tucker needs to continue doing these events, and it's actually the best thing really to happen to those of us who know that this man is a shill and he is using his platform as a means to profit off of the people. He does not have a real genuine stance, but he is obsessed with the Jews. Like, that for sure is an actual thing. But this is a guy who can't be trusted. The more he gets on stage and has to do this old song and dance, the more he encounters real people without any sort of bubble around him. Because mind you, this is a guy who worked for Fox, he worked for MSDNC, he worked for CNN. Sus in and of itself, but we don't ask about Bruno. So he's worked for 3 major legacy media outlets. He has always been protected by the ecosystems of these massive billion-dollar corporations, right? They protect their assets because it's an investment for them. They need Tucker to be favorable so that Tucker can get ratings. So if Tucker is a liar, he is deceitful, he actually hates Trump, right? Which, I mean, surely he wouldn't hate Trump. I mean, he's always stood behind the guy, right? Yeah, no, it turns out that as early as 2021, he was sending messages back and forth with his own coworkers saying, I'm so thankful or so glad that Trump is finally out of here. I'm sick of talking about him. I don't like the guy. I hate the guy. Then, of course, years later, he's right there chuckling away with our president. Again, some people don't care about character. I happen to not be one of them. I care more about who you are than what you say. Anybody can say anything. But once I get your character down, I know that you are liable. I know that you're somebody who could be a liar. You could be a thief. You could be murderous, whatever it is. I know how to perceive you and what you would likely do. So you will feed me 95% truth, 99% truth. You will give me the 1% lie that is going to lead me or others directly to hell. That's what I care about. So the true colors of Qatarlson are indeed showing themselves. And again, as Sun Tzu states in his infamous book, The Art of War, when your enemy is messing up, and this is modern day translation, when your enemy is messing up, let him do the daggone thing. Let him consume himself alive.
Well, look.
Just stop.
Imagine Char.
So I kind of just don't see a lot of change between, the Biden administration and now the Trump one in foreign policy. We're still giving a shit ton of money to like Israel and Ukraine. Nothing is happening.
So watch his face. Watch his face. This is so good.
The war's not stopped. He promised it'd be done in a day, and it's, I don't know, how many months? 8 months or something like that. It's a long time. Your dad was in the CIA.
He's like, finally, they planted one for me. Now, this is too good. Oh, this is too good. Yes, I did watch this one ahead of time a few times. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Dad was in the CIA, and I was wondering, does our government even want war to stop? Do they want conflicts to end? It seems like we have a difference of interests where we're getting told one thing. Government even want or
Do
something
y'all see how he just sandwiched that little thing in there?
like that. It's a long time. Your dad was in the CIA.
That's absolute cinema right there. Just sandwiches that in. Look at just, he's building him up. Your dad was in the CIA.
And I was wondering, does our government even want war to stop? Do they want conflicts to end? It seems like we have a difference of interests where we're getting told one thing and the other is happening. And I feel like there's not enough communication between different sects of government. And I really think the deep state's controlling everything and we have no control.
Well, let me.
Where do you think he's going to start? You guys give me a little guess in the comment. Where do you think in all of that, the whole is like something off of a Groyper thread, basically what this kid was going on about. Where do you think he will start?
Let me start at, obviously, you probably sense that I agree with a lot of that. Obviously, leave my father out of it. I'm going to have to kick your ass, which I could do, by the way, if...
Can somebody find me one clip of Charlie Kirk standing or sitting up there making a remark like that because he is personally offended? Somebody had like an F Charlie Kirk shirt on and he almost gave like a compliment to it. Because it turns out that he wasn't that sensitive. He's still a 31-year-old kid and, was not perfect because he is a human like the rest of us. But it's interesting how how old is Tucker? How old is Tucker? Well, at the tender age of 56, he's talking about having to square up and kick a kid's butt because he said something that literally Tucker admitted to be true. Why so upset about that? Why so upset? He's just asking questions.
if you bring him up again, because he was a wonderful man, whatever, he did for a living. So I really do hate that.
I really do hate that. Why are you ashamed of your father's occupation, whatever he did for a living? Why okay. Y'all have to go look this up on your own time. When he was in an interview with Putin calls him out about actually wanting to join the CIA. And he did. And he explains how he actually didn't meet the requirements or didn't make it, right? So he wanted to work for the CIA, meaning, oh boy, right here. Taliban Qatarlson wanted to join the CIA. So he must have been proud of it back then when he knew about it at a young age, more than 20 years ago. And then, of course, he just found out this year in March. Mathematics is not mathematicking. Yeah. This, folks, is a man who's going to crash and burn in public in real time. That's what happens when God allows you to be given over to your reprobate mind. And the way that we see with El Cucu, La Candice, there was a final warning that God placed on my heart, and I put it out there, literally titled The Final Warning. And in that, it felt like a third of the way into the video, it became clear what it was truly about. And all of a sudden, it was like, oh, this is a warning. God is saying, look, I'm going to give you over now. You keep going down this road, I'm just going to give you over to your reprobate mind. And after that, what happened? After that was the worst of it. And today it's even gotten worse. I'm not going to report on this stuff unless I feel that I am called to do so and there is, a greater purpose. But, God has said, okay, go ahead. You don't want to repent. You don't want to change from your wicked ways. You don't want to, give up the pride and the haughtiness and the arrogance and the lying and the slander and the gossip. Then okay, you can go ahead. You don't want to give up the hating of my people. Okay, you can go ahead. Never mind. Yeah, it's a choice. So, yeah, I've changed my opinion a little bit when it comes to Qatarlson making his appearances at these sort of events. I would not invite him. I'll tell you that. That me? No, absolutely not. Me and that Jewish donor that Charlie was talking about in the text, we would both pull our money for this specific purpose. No. But if somebody else is going to do it just because they feel they need to for political advantage, audience capture, I don't know, whatever the reason may be, then it might actually be a blessing in disguise, because they will show themselves. The true colors of an individual are scarcely hidden for a lifetime. And even if it is a lifetime, there's still going to be, there's going to be another lifetime that all of us are essentially setting ourselves up for. This is not the end. And there will be justice, and we'll talk about that justice. So I want to end this off in a chapter that I read in the last video I literally filmed today, which you guys, if you have a chance, go check it out. It's like an hour long, but it's breaking down essentially the reasons why I feel it is a disastrous idea for us to, quote unquote, come together with fellow conservatives just because we're conservative or claim to be such. We need to be very cautious about who it is that we actually are in fellowship and community with. So anyway, what is this? Matthew 12:36. Actually, let's start off at 33. Either make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree bad and its fruit bad. For the tree is known by its fruit. You brood of vipers. That would be a line that Qatarlson would love to just, see, Jesus was talking about the Jews. Yeah, Jesus, the Jew, surrounded by Jews, talking to another Jew. Okay. For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. The good person out of his good treasure brings forth good, and the evil person out of his evil treasure brings forth evil. Don't get it twisted. Right there, that's not, he just, he had a moment. No, he didn't just have a moment. He revealed who he actually is. He really is that rage-filled individual. And not too long ago, I was that. Before Christ started really working on my heart and I gave over and I submitted, I said, God, you know better than I do. I would have cussed folks out. I was calling people all sorts of things that I'll be embarrassed to even look at right now. But that's where I was as part of my testimony, But again, this is a man who, that's the true nature of his heart. He wants to, he wants to beat a dude up because he mentioned his dad and his occupation. If he said, your dad worked at the grocery store, blah, 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 would he have the same type of smoke? Maybe. Okay. I tell you, on the day of judgment, people will give an account for every careless word they speak. For by your word you will be justified, and by your word you will be condemned. Now that is for those who are not in the book of life, for those who are not under the saving grace of Christ. There will be a judgment, not in the book of life where you are covered, but in all the other books where you have to give an account. I'm going to repeat this as maybe for a lifetime if necessary, because we think that it's a joke. We think it's some archaic idea, that it's not real, as fantasy. But then we also think to ourselves, I want justice. There is no justice in this world. Yeah, it turns out that there is an ultimate justice. It just turns out that it might be you under it too. Now, I pray that it's not. And that's why, I'm called to speak the truth of the gospel. But you might fall under that too. If it wasn't for his saving grace, I would be under that too. Imagine all the words I've said. There's no way I could spend the rest of a lifetime making up for everything. Lord knows. So every word will be put into account. And I'm not perfect. Like, I never claim to be. And, sometimes I say things that might be out of pocket, etc. God knows he's working with me, and I feel convicted when I do run across those things. But I know that this right here is terrifying for anybody in the likes of Qatarlson, who lives in a space where all you do is communicate. That is terrifying. But again, you will know them by their fruit. How are you going to know who this person is? How do you know what they're about? How do you know what they're about? How can I tell in this age of information where, deep fakes exist and how? Well, you can tell by their fruit. You can tell by who the person is and what they produce. You can tell by the spirit that they're operating from. Test them, test the spirits and see, what is this coming from? But you need the spirit existing in you to be able to do exactly that. The Spirit of God's got to be dwelling in you in order for you to actually discern in a real way. Otherwise, we're just going off of guesses and assumptions. When I really started to wake up to who these people were, these nefarious actors that are being used to co-opt not just MAGA conservatism, but Christianity and God's word. When I started realizing that, it wasn't because I'm such a genius and I'm brilliant, but instead it was the opposite. When I let go of me so smart and realize, okay, there's one who is greater than I, who is infinite, who is intelligence, who is wisdom. Let me go to him. As soon as I tapped in, discernment started hitting me in ways I had never experienced it. I started seeing things in clear view. And even the spirits that dwell in these individuals are around them at the very least. These might have been genuine Christians or people who claim to be as such, but were unrepentant in different ways. And now they've made access and doors and windows to evil. They've allowed those unclean demonic spirits. For anybody who doesn't believe that demons exist, especially y'all who state that you believe in Jesus, what was he casting out of folks when he said unclean spirit being cast out? Get out of that woman. Get out of that man. Get out of that little girl. What do you think he was casting out? You think he was saying it for his own, for a good time? You think he was just saying it just to say it? No, it's because there were spirits in them folks. They had opened up windows. They had opened up avenues for these spirits to dwell in them, to make a house of them. In the same way you can have the Spirit of God living in you, can have the spirit of the devil, demonic entities, darkness. And I think it's more evident today than it has been in a very long time. Unless you live in, Africa or South America, places which are riddled with spiritism. If you live in the West, you have not been exposed to much evil in its full manifestation in the way we are now. There's not even hiding of it anymore. And so, yes, I consider this guy in a collective of that. But again, he has the opportunity, and it is only between him and his creator. But as far as those who are going to be involved in caring for the message, he doesn't stand for us. He doesn't stand with us. I don't think he ever has. I don't know. Maybe he did in the beginning. I don't know. It's okay to not know. But what I do know for a fact is that all things that happen in the dark shall be brought to light. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I've been up for hours, I've been up for days, staring at the ceiling, I've been counting strays, I've been in my feelings, I've been out of mind, I've been getting visions of the other kind, I've been up for weeks, I'm in the count of blessings over count of sheep. I can never be the type to limit when it comes to me. I used to be the pleaser for the people,